Okay, so let's talk about meditation, but maybe not in the way you're used to. Forget the spiritual side for a second and think of it as a science backed tool for physically upgrading the most important piece of hardware you own, your brain. We're going to get into how this ancient practice can literally, physically change your mind. So, let me just start with a crazy question. Can you actually make your brain younger? I mean, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? The kind of promise you'd see in some bogus pop-up ad. But what if I told you there's some seriously compelling scientific evidence that says, yeah, in some very real ways, you kind of can? And this is where it gets really wild. Researchers at Harvard, led by a neuroscientist named Dr. Sarah Lazar, they did brain scans on long-term meditators and found something incredible. For 50-year-olds who meditated regularly, the prefrontal cortex, that's basically your brain's CEO, in charge of decision-making and memory, was as thick and healthy as a typical 25-year-old's. It's like a time machine for your gray matter. So, what's the price for this brain fountain of youth? Hours and hours on some silent mountaintop retreat? Not even close. The people in the study who saw these amazing changes, they meditated for an average of just 27 minutes a day. That's probably less time than you spend scrolling before bed. So that brings up a really good question. We've seen the why, but what even is meditation? I mean, it's a word we hear all the time, but the actual concept can feel a little fuzzy. So let's clear that up right now. At its absolute core, meditation is just a technique. It's the simple practice of training your attention to achieve a state that's mentally clear and emotionally calm. And let's bust the biggest myth right now. You do not have to empty your mind. That's impossible. It's more like giving your brain a single calming thing to gently focus on instead of the usual chaos. And here's the best part. There is no one right way to do it. Not at all. There are a ton of different paths to get to that state of focused calm, so we're going to quickly walk through 4 really popular and different techniques because, honestly, the best kind of meditation is the one you'll actually stick with. First up, we've got Vipassana. This is one of the oldest practices out there. The key word here is observation. You're not trying to fight your thoughts or push your feelings away. You're just noticing them. Kind of like watching clouds drift across the sky. You just observe them as they come and go without getting swept away. Next, there's Transcendental Meditation, or TM. This one is all about using a mantra. A certified teacher gives you a specific, sometimes secret, word or sound. And the whole practice is just silently repeating that mantra to yourself for about 20 minutes twice a day. The sound kind of acts like an anchor, letting your mind settle down into this really deep, restful state. Then you've got the body scan. Now, this one is fantastic if you're the kind of person who feels like they live entirely in their head. You just lie down and slowly, systematically move your attention through your body, from your toes all the way up to the top of your head. You're just noticing sensations, maybe warmth or tingling or tension, without judging them. It's an amazing way to reconnect your mind with your body. And finally, Yoga Nidra. People often call this yogic sleep, and for good reason. It guides you into that magical state right between being awake and being asleep. You lie down, you follow a guide's voice, and it takes you through body awareness and visualizations. You end up in this state of super deep relaxation, but your mind stays totally aware. It's pretty incredible. So those are just a few of the ways to do it. But now let's get back to the hard science, because that calm, focused feeling you get from meditating, it's not just a mood. It's a sign of real physical changes happening inside your skull, changes you can actually measure. And honestly, they're kind of astonishing. You see, the Harvard researchers wanted to prove that meditation was actually causing these brain changes. So they took a group of people who had never ever meditated before and had them do an 8-week mindfulness course. The results were, well, they were stunning. In just 2 months, they saw a measurable increase in the density of their brain tissue. What's really fascinating is where the brain grew. One of the key spots was the hippocampus. Now, this part of your brain is a powerhouse for learning, memory, and, this is a big one, emotional regulation. So by making it denser, meditation is literally upgrading the very systems that help you learn new things and keep your cool under pressure. But get this, meditation isn't just about growing parts of the brain. It also shrinks a really important part, and that part is the amygdala. Think of your amygdala as your brain's built-in panic button. It's responsible for that fight or flight response that kicks in when you feel threatened, whether that threat is a real danger or, just another stressful email from your boss. And just look at this comparison, it's pretty mind-blowing. after just that 8-week program, the participants' amygdalas, they actually got smaller. And this physical shrinkage correlated directly with them saying they felt less stressed. So the takeaway is huge. When you feel less stressed after meditating, it's because the part of your brain that produces stress has literally been downsized. So let's just quickly recap the whole brain upgrade package. You get a thicker prefrontal cortex, which means better decision-making, a denser hippocampus for better learning and memory. It even enhances other areas linked to empathy. And to top it all off, it shrinks the amygdala, basically turning down the volume on your stress and fear. So at this point, you might be thinking, okay, you've sold me. The science is cool, but how do I, do it? Well, the good news is it's way, way simpler than you probably think. Let's just walk through a totally simple, pressure-free way to start, like today. First, let's get the number one roadblock out of the way. This thought, my mind is just too busy, I can't stop thinking. Well, here's the secret. You're not supposed to. The goal is not an empty mind. The goal is simply to notice when your mind has wandered off. That's it. That's the whole game. Here it is, your entire first meditation session broken down into 5 easy steps. 1. Find 5 minutes and a quiet spot. 2. Get comfy, sitting or lying down. 3. Close your eyes and just breathe normally. 4. Put your attention on the feeling of your breath coming in and out. And 5. When your mind wanders, and trust me, it will, just gently notice and without any judgment, guide your focus back to your breath. That's the practice. And here are a few final tips to make it stick. Start ridiculously small. Seriously, 1 minute a day totally counts. Don't be afraid to use a guided meditation app. There are tons of free ones. Remember, your mind wandering isn't a failure. It's an opportunity to practice. Noticing your thinking is the win. And finally, 5 minutes every single day is way more powerful than an hour once a week. Consistency is everything. This quote from Dr. Holtzel, one of the actual Harvard researchers, just hits the nail on the head. This isn't something that just happens to us. We can actively participate in rewiring our own minds. The science of neuroplasticity proves our brains are always changing, and meditation is one of the most powerful ways to steer that change in a direction we actually want. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought. We all plug in our phones every single night, without fail, to make sure they're ready for the day. But what about that one device we use to experience our entire lives? Isn't it about time we started giving our minds that same essential daily recharge?